two legends born of power and destiny clash in a battle to determine the mightiest warrior of all time. In one corner stands He-Man, the champion of Grayskull, wielding strength unmatched in Eternia. In the other, Kratos, the Ghost of Sparta, a god-killer driven by fury and will. Only one will leave the battlefield victorious. Will mercy or rage triumph in the ultimate test of power? The skies above Eternia burn crimson as cracks in reality tear through the heavens. Castle Grayskull, a fortress of secrets and power, hums with ancient energy as the sorceress peers into the rift. Her voice trembles as she summons Prince Adam. Eternia is in peril, Adam. She says, her tone grave. A force beyond this world has breached our realm, seeking to test the power of Grayskull itself. Adam's transformation into He-Man is swift. Raising the sword of power, he shouts, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power." Lightning surges through his body, and in an instant, the mild-mannered prince is gone, replaced by the mightiest warrior in Eternia. He-Man steps outside Castle Grayskull to find the ground trembling beneath his feet. A portal swirls ominously in the distance, and from it emerges a figure unlike any he has seen before. A hulking man draped in leather and scars, carrying weapons that gleam with divine energy. Kratos steps forward, his eyes cold and calculating. To him, He-Man represents the target of the prophecy told by the Fates, a champion who threatens the balance of realms. Without hesitation, Kratos speaks, his voice like gravel. "I do not seek to explain myself. If you are the guardian of this place, you are also its greatest threat. Stand aside or fall." He-Man, ever the noble defender, raises his sword and replies, "You'll find no threat here, only justice. Leave or face the might of Grayskull." The confrontation escalates as both warriors refuse to back down, their words fading into action as the ground quakes beneath them. The battle begins. The initial clash is a thunderous explosion of power. He-Man charges forward, his sword of power cutting through the air with a sharp whistle. Kratos meets him head-on, parrying with a Leviathan axe. The force of their collision sends a shockwave rippling through the landscape, leveling nearby trees and scattering debris. He-Man fights with a sense of purpose and control, his swings precise and powerful. Every strike of the Sword of Power carries the weight of his immense strength, but his focus is not to kill, only to subdue. He leaps high into the air, bringing his sword down with enough force to crack the ground beneath Kratos, who barely evades the blow. Kratos, by contrast, is a storm of ferocity. He alternates between the Leviathan axe and the blades of chaos, chaining attacks with deadly efficiency. The chains of the blades wrap around He-Man's arm, pulling him closer into a brutal head, but that leaves the champion reeling. Kratos follows up with a spinning slash from the axe, forcing He-Man to block with his sword. The battle swings back and forth. He-Man gains the upper hand with his raw strength, grabbing a massive boulder and hurling it at Kratos. Kratos shatters the boulder mid-flight with a powerful swing of his axe, then retaliates with a frost-infused attack that freezes He-Man's leg in place. He-Man roars, breaking free with sheer power and slamming his fist into the ground. The resulting tremor knocks Kratos off balance, giving He-Man a moment to press the attack. He strikes Kratos with a devastating blow, sending him flying into a nearby cliff. But Kratos is not so easily defeated. Rising to his feet, blood trickling down his face, he smirks. "You're strong," he admits, "but strength alone will not save you." The pace of the fight intensifies as both warriors begin to push past their limits. He-Man channels more of Grayskull's power, his body glowing with divine energy. Each swing of his sword leaves arcs of light in the air, and his strikes grow even heavier. Kratos counters by unleashing his Spartan rage. His body is enveloped in a red aura as his strength and speed increase dramatically. He barrels toward He-Man with reckless abandon, landing a series of brutal punches and slashes that force the champion onto the defensive. Kratos begins to exploit He-Man's honorable nature, taunting him at every turn. You hold back. Kratos growls, dodging a strike. You think mercy makes you stronger, but it is a chain that will break you. He-Man replies, "Strength without honor is nothing. I will not stoop to your level." But the taunts begin to weigh on him, especially as Kratos' relentless assault begins to take its toll. Kratos lands a decisive blow, wrapping the chains of the blades of chaos around He-Man's arm and pulling him into a devastating knee strike. He-Man drops to one knee, bloodied but defiant. He reaches deep within himself, summoning a surge of power from Grayskull. With a single mighty swing, He-Man shatters the chains binding him and delivers a blow that sends Kratos sprawling. He-Man presses the advantage, lifting Kratos and throwing him across the battlefield. The Ghost of Sparta crashes into a jagged rock formation. But even this is not enough to stop him. The final stage of the battle sees both warriors battered and exhausted, yet neither willing to yield. The battlefield is a wasteland of destruction, the ground scorched and torn apart by their titanic clash. He-Man, bleeding and weary, stands tall. This ends now, he declares, raising the sword of power high. Lightning strikes the blade, charging it with raw energy. Kratos, his armor shattered and his weapons dulled, lets out a guttural roar as he charges forward in one final burst of Spartan rage. His fists and blades become a blur as he aims to finish the fight with sheer ferocity. In a heart-stopping sequence, He-Man brings his sword down in a final, desperate strike. Kratos meets it with both the Leviathan axe and the blades of chaos, the collision of their weapons creating an explosion of light and energy that blinds the battlefield. When the dust settles, one warrior stands victorious. Kratos, bloodied but unbroken, rises from the rubble. He-Man lies defeated, his sword of power shattered beside him. Kratos stands over his fallen opponent, breathing heavily. "You fought well," he says, his voice tinged with respect. "But even gods fall to the fury of a mortal." Kratos leaves He-Man alive, stepping back into the portal and disappearing into his realm. He-Man, though defeated, vows to learn from his loss and one day reclaim his honor. The battlefield, now silent, serves as a reminder of the price of such a legendary clash.